Zorro. What's happening, Zorro?
What's up? It's the Evil Empire calling you.
Not too bad. What's going on, man? How you doing?
How's it going? I hope you had a meaningful Memorial Day.
So far, so good. It's okay. Not bad.
Did want to call you. I think you know what it's about.
Yeah.
We did have an undercover call for the project I'm working on, the Mattis file.
Yeah.
My friend Adrian was able to reach him. Talked to him on the phone for about 47 minutes.
No shit. Are you serious? That long?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can send you the video. A lot of the video is just him going in circles, talking about Russia, telling you to draw your own conclusions.
Email me the video. I want to see it.
Yeah.
I want to hear it, I should say.
At the end of the video, he kind of gives himself away. So, whereas before we suspected that he was working for David Brock, we now know that he was in daily contact with him because he said it openly.
No
He was
way.
in daily contact with not with David Brock himself, but
the organization,
a person working for him.
I always
American Bridge.
I'm always shocked that people, like if you're a political actor, for example, things that go on behind the scenes. When I did a video, I think on Tim Canova, and I did a video, pushed the video up, no contact with Tim Canova or anything else on that. I do my videos just because I do my videos. I don't really know these people. There are people who I agree with, people who I don't. People who I agree with, I kind of, give a nod to. People who I don't, I knock. All those things are based on humanistic values. Now, behind the scenes, Tim Canova, I think it was maybe a few days after I did the videos, one of his people reaches out to me and says, hey, can you replace the video or replace the image that's on the video? And I was telling my wife, I was like, holy shit, this is some random video that these guys are looking at saying, could you change the thing? Canova is not even in office. Now imagine for the moment if the person is in office and you're trying to manage a perspective and manage the people who are around you and manage certain groups that you believe that are not necessarily on board with you. What do you do and what lengths do you go to? And do you have people to contact and touch those people to say, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Or can you massage certain groups to push them in certain directions? Yeah. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard got a letter for Hillary Clinton essentially berating Tulsi Gabbard for not towing the line with Hillary Clinton. I don't know why it would be any different from some of these other groups that may get infiltrated by people with certain, let's say, political ties and political allegiances to that Clinton machine. I would not be shocked in the least.
Well, I noticed something while doing a breakdown of the video with Adrian, the guy who made the call.
Yeah.
I was looking at the timestamp on one of the Facebook posts that was featured by Rachel Maddow, and it said March 19th, and it was remember that gentleman you had on your show, Jim Boyston?
Yeah.
So it was March 19th, 2017, and the reason I knew that was because he was talking about how Indivisible is funded by George Soros. Mm-hmm. So the whole case, if they're presenting this on screen, it has nothing to do with the election. March 19th, 2017 is 4 months after the election. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with it. Indivisible has nothing to do with the election. Indivisible was formed after the 2016 election.
This didn't go.
So, I think, there's a lot of areas where I don't think that progressives are going to be able to find common ground with, people like me. I'm for example, dismantling, Social Security, for example. But I think this issue is more about moving towards, a more open media where we're not seeing these bizarre things just concocted and people are told, well, just buy it. We're presenting it to you on screen, and you just have to eat it like your porridge Oliver Twist.
What you're getting at is truth. Like we can have that argument over Social Security, you'd lose. Like if it was up for debate, like if you were having an honest conversation with the public, I think you'd lose that debate. But that being said, can't even have an honest debate. It's like you can't. It's like, how can you have some level of an honest debate when you don't really have truth in media? This guy has been running around screaming that Russia has something to do with our politics. The conversation that you may want to have with Social Security doesn't even get aired because we're talking about Trump and Russia. Even Trump or Russia infiltrating Bernie Sanders groups. I mean, this is the nonsense that we've talked about for 2 fucking years.
Right.
This is insanity.
And honestly, I think that there's things on the progressive agenda that get ignored. There's things on,
Yes.
I mean, I would be a
And it's stuff that
libertarian
we
agenda.
agree
There's
with.
things we want to talk about that get ignored.
But I guess my point in this is there are things that we agree with. Like, it's not like if I'm listening to somebody who supports Rand Paul, half of what he talk about we'd agree. Half of it. So literally you have this section of the population, let's say like 60%, that would agree on certain items, because if those people are on the left, on the right, they would agree, look, let's stop killing these people abroad. We need to stop these wars. Let's pay attention to some degree to our environmental standpoint. Like, there are certain things that we agree with. Let's dismantle the number of people that we have in these prisons. We can't even get to those. We can't even get to the stuff that we agree on because of the nonsense that these guys throw up as utter theater. I mean, I agree with you. Like, whether we agree with the Social Security stuff, I understand. I'm not naive enough to believe that we're going to have the left and right agree on everything across the board. What I get annoyed with is this thing of, you can't even have those debates and those conversations because we end up talking about nonsense and the stuff that we actually do agree on.
Right, we can't get into those conversations at all because they've divided the country into camps, into tribes.
Yes.
So it's very odd. Like last weekend, I don't know if I've called you since then. I had a conversation with Hillary.
I haven't did videos in like a few days. I think it's like 3 days.
Right. So, I think it was over a week and a half ago. I had a conversation with somebody who was a diehard Hillary Clinton fan about hate speech and whatever, and he was claiming that hate speech is the most potent threat since the election. And I said to him, I've been working on this story, and I described the whole issue with the Bernie Sanders group and how they're basically not, the media has negated their side of the story in order to pursue the side of the story that's convenient for them.
Yes.
And eventually, I lay out the story. He's very impressed. And then he says, isn't it possible that John Mattis is an agent of Russia? And I throw up my hands. I'm like, you can't. No,
Are you serious?
I felt like laughing, and then later I just felt bad because you can't. It's impossible.
That's amazing.
How do you talk to people?
Are you serious?
How?
Wait. This is
this is a nice
cult.
person. This isn't right. Yeah.
I mean, this is cultish behavior. Like Donna Brazile, one of the things Donna Brazile said that she noticed, it was like people who were Hillary supporters were in a cult. Like it's so, like Donna Brazile is a soldier to the end, and yet being a soldier, she still said these people sounded like they were in a cult. I could not change their minds on a lot of the stuff. You've told them the person who had any and all incentive in this is the Clinton camp. And you laid all this out for him and said, look, this is the bare bones reality of the situation. These were the people who started the group. This guy was supposedly in a group. This guy had a conversation. This is what the guy even said, showing his connections. This is the guy talking about Trump and Russia. All of this. You lay it out. So this is the reality. This is objective, to some degree, reality, as close as we can get. And he says, maybe the guy's a Russian plant.
Right. It's much worse. I talk to people who are like, religious fanatics or whatever, and they'll be like, if you don't want to listen to me, don't listen to me or whatever. So we have a parting of ways. These people it's something, man. I don't know what the hell it is. It's like some sort of
I
like
made the case that politics is kind of like a religion, like the political parties. The moment that you kind of don a persona, then you're in that persona. When somebody says something to you, like if you're say for instance somebody loves Obama, or let's say Hillary, she says something to them and they take what she's saying as being a certain amount of legitimate. If a Republican says something, they take it with skepticism. Now, what the Republican may be saying, if you're talking about Rand Paul, may be right. If he's saying, look, we probably shouldn't be killing these people, and our behavior around the globe has not been for the best. We've been destroying these countries, and this is problematic for us on the home front, not to mention the money we spend. He's right. Now, a Democrat will look at that and says, and be skeptical of what Rand Paul is saying, even though from a logical standpoint, what Rand Paul is saying is right. That's a logic argument. And yet, you would say something to them about Clinton, and it's filtered through this lens of this person is attacking Hillary Clinton, as opposed to this person is telling me something that's true about the person that I like. Like it's their filter. Like at that point, their filter begins to look at that stuff as what she's saying is true, and what people are saying that's not her, I don't like. It's cultish behavior. I mean, it really is. It's hard to shake the shit out of people to get them out of that, because in their mind, the alternative is Donald Trump. Like, it always boils down to the alternative, as opposed to instigating, investigating the thing that you have in front of you. In this case, when you're saying something about Clinton, it kills me to think that guy said, is it possible the guy was planted by the Russians? God, that kills me.
Well, I mean, the issue that I'm seeing with some of them when you talk about Hillary Clinton is that they'll say, you know, the election's over, she's a private citizen, let it go. And, you know, I'll say, look, you know, when we prosecute crimes, we don't base them on whether they are crimes of somebody who's in a particular office or not at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's based on whether there's evidence and
by the way,
what do you
if
call
she was in
probable
office,
cause.
they would say the same thing. Like if she was in political office, if Hillary Clinton had won that election, they would have shut up about all of this stuff, and they would say, "Oh, you're just being a hater for bringing this up." Like the excuse will remain, regardless of whether she was in office or whether she was a private citizen. Like, their excuse has nothing to do with whether or not there was an actual crime here.
What they do is they'll usually take it to be, you know, they'll spin it on you and they'll say, well, this is some sort of personal obsession with the Clintons, which in my case you could probably say so because I've read over 20 books on them.
Yeah.
But still, a lot of those issues, they have substantiation. In Whitewater, their partners were convicted of what was it called? Banking fraud, I think it's called. The McDougalls. One of them refused to testify against them. The other one, you know, his testimony, that it was not enough to convict the Clintons. The other governor of Arkansas after Clinton was convicted. So this, you know, they're always waving around right now, oh, there's indictments against Manafort or whatever. Yeah. Well, back then there were convictions.
Yeah.
Back then, Webb Hubbell, their associate attorney general, was convicted. Anyway, I don't want to take over the whole time. So,
but I know what you mean.
Thanks for listening to me.
Email me this, because
I will email it to you.
Because I covered the story once, and I'm interested in this because, look, regardless of the political leanings, I think it is vitally important that what would be considered to be the left and what would be considered the right, especially areas in which we agree, there needs to be a new left and right. And it needs to be a new left and right that is not purely political actors, of people who are just willing to do whatever they have to do and say whatever they have to say to get, you know, for whatever their political thing. There needs to be some level of capacity to have honest conversations and have honest agreement or disagreement. If you think we need to dismantle Social Security, fair enough. At the very least, I understand that's where you're coming from. You understand that that's not where I'm coming from. But on the items that we agree on, oh, we should hug. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be this thing of these political camps that are remaining political camps, even on things that they agree with, if that makes sense. If both of us agree that we shouldn't necessarily have all these foreign wars, then let's agree with that. And let's, you know, walk hand in hand on those particular issues. Because I guarantee you, there's a lot of stuff in this country that we agree on, left and right. And that the radical center is the aspect of the country that prevents those things from taking place. Because from their standpoint, this is all politics. They're just political actors, and they just function from that standpoint. We need to be different, especially if we're talking about creating something new. So, I that's a long story short, but I guess I'm making the point. I appreciate you letting me in on this.
No, absolutely, Jamal.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I'll probably be. I'm trying to get Hard News Network to air interview with these guys, so stay tuned the rest of the week. I think they're going to try to work it out for Friday, but
okay.
I don't know yet. So,
but I do,
you know, let HJ know about it if you.
Yeah, definitely. Excuse me. Definitely email me the thing. I definitely want to hear it. I definitely want to read it. I thought it was a big deal. Some people asked whether or not I had proof that the person started the thing as opposed to Matt. I've been in contact with the person who actually started the group herself, and I think she's willing to come on to talk about it. So
yeah, she was on my show the same day.
Yeah,
you know.
So I think this story is a big deal. I think you had Rachel Maddow and some of these other networks, even TYT, using information coming from this guy, and this guy ended up being bogus.
Well, technically it's not TYT, but it's Ryan Grimm who works for them. He was writing in HuffPo, but you know, I mean, we can. I'll let you watch the video, and if you wanna go more into detail, you can contact me or Jim or Josephine or whatever. And,
I definitely want to see it.
You know, see how much you like there.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it. So thank you, man. I appreciate your call in.
All right, no problem. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Have a good one. All right, guys, I am not going to keep this one much